We are joined now by Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano, Vice President for the Heritage Foundation's Davis Institute for National Security and Foreign Policy. Lieutenant Colonel Carafano, it appears that Iran, with no casualties in this attack, is backing down and that President Trump wants to de-escalate the crisis. Is that how you read this?
Yeah, I think this might be confusing to a lot of people that Iran fires a bunch of ballistic missiles, and this is actually an act of de-escalation. But if you put it in the larger context, first, the Iranians actually notified the Iraqis ahead of time that they were going to do this. So clearly they would have notified the United States. So everybody knew this was coming. The missiles almost seemed to be aimed not to hit the targets. Not only were there no casualties, but the Iranians are very quick to come out and say, hey, we're done. You know, if you don't shoot Iranian soil, we're not going to shoot anymore. So this seemed really to kind of be a face-saving fireworks display on the part of the Iranians, and then some very, very clear signal in the U.S. that they're not going to do anything else. So essentially, they've already de-escalated. And I think what the president's done actually has been incredibly consistent since day one with dealing with Iran. Is Iran's tried a whole series of provocative measures. The United States has been consistent in keeping its policies in place.
I'm wondering, though, if we are out of the woods, because today the supreme leader of Iran, the Ayatollah Khamenei, said that the strike wasn't necessarily the totality of Iran's response. Do you think there might be more retaliation?
Well, there's going to be more Iranian. There could well be more Iranian activity. This is a pattern we've seen from the Iranians. They've tried a number of different things, blocking the channel, seizing ships, shooting down a drone, attacking Saudi Arabian territory, weaponizing the militias against U.S. forces in Iraq. So they've tried a bunch of things. They might well continue to try other things, but I think from the U.S. perspective, we'll see the same thing: is the policies will stay in place. The U.S. response will be measured and proportional.
We've also got a plane crash in Iran today. A Ukrainian passenger jet crashed just moments after it took off from the capital, killing all 176 people aboard. And you tweeted that Iran should have shut down its airspace when it launched the strikes on Iraq. What do you think happened here with this plane crash?
I don't know. There are way more questions than answers. Look, Iran announced to the Iraq, essentially to the world, an hour before the attack, they were going to attack. So clearly they had an hour that the cat was out of the bag. Why they wouldn't ground all civilian air traffic as a measure of safety is just a complete and utter head scratcher. So I just think we have so many questions, so few answers. We can't really speculate at this point, but something's not right.
You served in the Army for 25 years. We have now suddenly thousands of troops that have been deployed to the Middle East. How do you see them being used? And at this point in the game, do you think that was the right call?
One of the things that's happened is because of Iran's reckless behavior, you actually see other countries in the region wanting to step up and partner with the U.S. more, both to secure themselves and to flesh out the deterrent. And one of the things about these deployments is the U.S. has really broadened its footprint in the region, so we're not really dependent on one particular country or one particular base to be able to fight ISIS or to deter Iran. I think it's greatly complicated Iran's destabilizing activities in the region. It's significantly expanded our ability to fight ISIS. And largely, these are not troops that we're putting in harm's way. They're putting them in friendly countries. They're actually not at great risk. And still, this is, a few thousand soldiers. So it's a fairly measured deployment compared to what we did, say, for example, at the height of the Iraq War or in Afghanistan.
Well, as you said, still so many questions. A lot of people trying to figure out what's going on right now. Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano with Heritage, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much for having me.